eloquent and speaks so beautifully about all of this, and so he can educate you in a way that's entertaining. That doesn't always happen in this world, and that takes a true entertainer, a true artist, and we are very honored to have him with us here today, as I'm sure you're excited to see him here tonight, are you not? So tonight is an encore performance, but it's going to be an all-new show, all new fun stuff. And if you were down in Love and Spoonful, you got to hear that he might just have a special guest or two come up here and join him and to have some fun with us. So do me a favor, as loud and as great as you've been for all the acts, this is one of our homegrown absolute favorites. Do me a favor, make some noise, and please welcome the one and only, the incomparable Mr. Peter Asher.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you so much for coming. These shows have been so much fun. I imagine some of you may have seen the show I did with the show with the band and the video and the whole thing that I did. Thank you very much. And so I did it here one night, and then I had the pleasure of doing it in the big theater that we've had on the screen another night. So I thought that we probably shouldn't do the exact same kind of thing. So I was trying to think what we could do differently. So what we're going to do tonight, if it's okay with you, is make it kind of completely different in the sense that this is going to be more of an acoustic show. We'd like you to, the feeling we're aiming for tonight is very much a kind of living room feel. You know, we're all in my living room. I wish I had one this big. And in that sense, you know, questions are very welcome. Heckling is welcome. You know, but seriously, if I get anything wrong, feel free to correct me and so on. So, you know, it's because the other show, you know, is a bit more of a rock and roll show, and I have all that video stuff, and I talk about the historical stuff about the 50s and 60s. This time I'm not going to do that, but I will throw in a couple of different stories about different things, you know, and as I say, if there's anything in particular that whizzes by and you want to hear more about it, you know, please speak up, raise your hand, shout at me, whatever works. So I thought in this show, you know, we'd start kind of at the beginning of what was my career in the music business, you know? And that all began kind of when I was at school. I mean, I was a child actor before that. I did some movies and television stuff when I was studying, when I was 8 actually. My first movie, Claudette Colbert played my mother, which was very exciting for those of you who remember Claudette Colbert. So, exactly. So I got to kiss the amazingly hot Claudette Colbert when I was 8. It was exciting. Anyway, so then my acting career, and then I did some of the old Robin Hood series, if anyone remembers that one, with Richard Green. I was Prince Arthur, who the sheriff was always trying to kill or capture, but luckily failed. Robin kept saving me to be in another episode. So I had that acting career for a while, and then I stopped doing that because I started taking school seriously. You know, I went to a serious school in London called Westminster School. It was attached to Westminster Abbey, and founded by Queen Elizabeth and all that kind of serious stuff. So I could, you know, they didn't let you give you time off for acting. However, when I was at school, I was already a big music fan. You know, I'd grown up listening mostly to classical music. My mother was a professional classical musician. She was an oboe player. She played in a lot of major orchestras, and she was professor at the Royal Academy of Music and so on. So I grew up learning classical music, and then I fell in love with a lot of other kinds of music. Interestingly, all of them American. I fell in love with folk music and jazz. I was a big bebop fan and so on. And I finally fell in love with rock and roll and R&B and all that stuff. And while I was at Westminster, I did get to play the guitar. I got a guitar for my birthday, learned a few chords, because I've never been very good about keeping up with my piano lessons or any of that serious music stuff, unfortunately. I wish I had, like everyone does, but I didn't. But I did learn the guitar, and I knew a few chords. And while I was there, I met another boy at school called Gordon Waller, who also knew a few chords and had a really good voice. And we tried singing together. And what we did was, you know, he was more of a rocker. He was a big Eddie Cochran fan, Elvis fan, Buddy Holly fan. And so he taught me some rock and roll songs, and I taught him some of the songs I was in love with, which at the time, as I said, was mostly American folk music and jazz, but that was beyond either of our capabilities. And so, you know, I knew every Woody Guthrie song by heart. I knew a lot of Lead Belly songs, you know, and I freely admit that I'm not saying I could do them well, because the sheer concept of a weedy English schoolboy singing lead belly songs is ridiculous on the face of it. But that's what I did. So anyway, I taught Gordon some songs, he taught me some songs, we started singing together. And we started playing at like parties at school and things like that, and school events, we would even sing, and we kept practicing, and finally started to sound pretty good, evidently. We'd be invited to play at parties. Finally, we got offered a paying gig in a pub where we played every lunchtime for £1 each and a free meal, which was a pretty amazing deal. Oh, and a free pint of beer. I forgot that. It was a great deal. We can't get a free drink here, so it's I hit a nerve, obviously. So anyway, we started playing all these pubs and clubs and stuff like that. We played coffee houses, and finally we ended up with a gig in kind of a late night eating and drinking club called the Pickwick Club. It was quite a cool place. You know, the young handsome actors of the day used to hang out there. That's when I first met Michael Caine was there. You know, at the beginning of his career, long before he was Batman's butler, and David Hemmings, if you remember him from Blow Up, who's a brilliant, amazing actor. So both of them actually remain friends of mine, in Michael's case to this day, and David until his death. But so it was a great gig, and one night we were playing there, and after we finished our set, because we were doing, as I say, quite a few folk songs, and everything we did, by the way, was the reason I'm starting the show this way tonight is that everything we did was just the two of us with two guitars. It was just obviously acoustic, sitting on a couple of bastards. So this was kind of how we started. And we did, as I say, a mixture of songs. And one night this guy, Norman Newell, came up to us after our set was over and said, would you boys come and audition for EMI Records? I'm an A&R guy from EMI Records. I'd like you to come to the studio and do an audition tape. We were thrilled. We went to do the audition. About a week later, we got a letter offering us a record contract. And we were excited beyond belief. We signed it, of course, and made a date for our very first session. Now, interestingly, what Norman particularly liked about us, it turns out, when we talked to him about it later, was the kind of folky stuff we were doing. He really admired the kind of folk sound. I think he was imagining that at the time we might turn out to be sort of England's response to the folk boom in the US, you know, as it were, we could be the British kind of Kingston duo, you know, or Peter and Paul without Mary, something along those lines. So anyway, so I thought I'd start tonight with the song that actually was the one that he kind of picked out and thought might be our first folk single of our career. And to help me sing it, my first guest of the evening is my very own band leader, one of my favorite keyboard players and guitarists, who's going to help me with this song, Jeffrey Allen Ross.